What is up, and welcome back to another episode of So There's That. I am your hostess, doing the mostest, Kivanshi, and I'm back after a week hiatus. Right after I announced that I was going to do my film Wednesdays based on anime and animated films, and then all of a sudden, like my whole routine and everything changed, and I had to switch it up. But the break was much needed, and I was able to scour the Netflix universe and find such a beautiful kids film called Leo from the what is it? It's Adam Sandler's Happy Madison production. So if you grew up on like The Water Boy or any of his movies, you already know when that logo comes across the screen and the golf club like breaks the screen, then you already know it's going to be a really good time. Now, I haven't watched an Adam Sandler film in a long time, so I'm not sure how long he's been diving into animated films, but y'all, this is such a really good movie. You can watch it with your kids. You can watch it by yourself if you ain't got no kids. It's just good. The messaging is amazing. If I had to liken the message and the feels to anything, it would definitely be on the scales of The Wild Robot, the Emoji Movie, Inside Out, Toy Story. Like, Adam, he did his big one. And I will have to double up one week on my films because I still want to make up for what I missed last week. But I want to incorporate just some G-rated films that you can watch with your kids or by yourself. But I also want to incorporate some ones, that's just for the adults. You know what I'm saying? Adult animation is making a huge impact in the culture right now. Literally since 2020, adult animation has just kind of like soared in the worlds of people who aren't like, they didn't grow up on anime or adult animation or anything like that. So super duper excited. Now, really quick for those of you who are watching on YouTube, I am recording this on my Osmo Pocket. I am trying out this light feature that is like right behind the Osmo Pocket, right behind where the lens is. I am doing like multiple things right now because I need to make sure that my equipment and everything is good to go for when I start doing carpet interviews. One of the new things, just to update everybody, I want to expand my journalism and journalistic approach by going to local uh, film centers and interviewing people who produce independent films from where I am, local cinematographers, actors, lighting, sound, to just highlight them and platform them, as well as some of the big name actors as well. Like, we all start from somewhere. So right now, I'm like doing this with my mic that's clipped on me. I got my Osmo Pocket. It's on my super skinny tripod, and I got the light that's like super compact. So this is like a trial that's happening, all the while making sure that this podcast episode is still going off without a hitch. So at this juncture, I don't know what it sounds like. I do see what it looks like. Y'all can get you an Osmo Pocket DJI 3 on Amazon. It's so convenient if you are a content creator. No, this is not an ad. I'm not getting paid for this. But literally, if it's in your purse, if it's in your pocket, if it's in like a really small bag, and if you're somebody out here that's creating content, whether it's for your social media, whether it's for journalism or anything like that, I think this is a great investment. And I love that they actually built a light that fits and is made for the Osmo Pocket, because the shape is kind of weird, but it just goes up behind it. Like if you was like on a spaceship and it like is right behind your head, that's how it fits on there. So quick plug for that. I love my OP3. That's what I be calling. You down with OP3? Yeah, you know me. I love it so much. Yeah. Random advertising, but let's get into Leo. So Leo is on Netflix, and I don't remember if I said it already, but I'm gonna try to find anime and animated movies on Netflix. A lot of people across multiple countries have access to this service. It's one of the first streaming services. So I want to review films that you can watch that are accessible. So that's how I approached coming into April for my Film Wednesdays. This movie is an hour and 46 minutes long, and it came out in 2023. The logline is a 74-year-old lizard named Leo and his turtle friend, Squirtle, I love that so much, decide to escape from a terrarium of a Florida school classroom where they have been living for decades. Okay, so this is in the kids category. It's definitely rated G or non-rated, like anybody can watch it. The directors are Robert Marianetti, Robert Smigel, and David Wachtenheim. The writer, let me go back into IMDb. The writers are Robert Smigel, Adam Sandler, and Paul Sado. And one of the things about the animation, so it's computer animation, there's satire, there's adventure, comedy, family. So whatever you think it is, it's really going to touch on a lot of those different genres. But overall, it's just family. And I would say like family, adventure, satire, if I had to pick the top three. Okay. Now, the cast. And I have the main cast, but I wanted to include the majority of the child actors too, because I think they did an amazing job. So we have Adam Sandler, who's Leo, the lizard, Bill Burr as Squirtle, the turtle, Cecily Strong as Miss Malkin. She plays a substitute teacher, and she's in the film throughout, like the majority of the time. We have Sunny Sandler, peep the name, as Summer, Sadie Sandler as Jayda, Reese Flore as Mia, Gloria Manning as Logan, TienYa Safko as Skyler, Ethan Smigel, peep the name again, as Anthony, Roey Smigel, who doubles as Eli and Benji, and Coulter Ibanez as Zane. So I want to pause a little bit and talk about what Adam Sandler has been doing since I first heard of him. And I want to talk about nepotism real quick. So the best part about being a filmmaker, and honestly some of the best ways to make it as a filmmaker, is to network across and not necessarily network up. Robert Schneider is also in this film as a voice actor. Adam Sandler has worked with Robert Smigel, Rob Schneider, and so many people for such a long time. Every time he does a film, he's keeping his friends in mind. This is how you keep work going, and this is just how you just continue to create art that you like. Then he has his daughters in here as well. People like to like crap on nepotism, but the goal is to set your kids up to be better than you. So not only are his daughters in here, but even Robert Smigel's sons are in here as well. Now, maybe the advantage for me is I've never heard their kids speak. So I don't know if they're good voice actors, but I do know that in the context of this movie and the voices that all of the children have done, they did a very, very good job at voice acting. And another thing I want to point out is with the casting, the characters, what they look like in the cartoon, they tried to cast people who actually fit that ethnic background and not just getting people to voice certain roles. Like I was born in 89, grew up in the 90s. It's a lot of iconic roles out there from like Gargoyles, from X-Men, from Batman and stuff like that. And the voice actor who voiced that ethnicity didn't necessarily match. Now, you don't have to do that. But when you're talking about bringing up new talent and taking a chance on people in Hollywood, why not? You know, and for a movie that's about kids and you're casting kids who can see themselves in their character, it probably made it a lot easier for them to get into character and be more excited about the job that they booked. So shout out to Adam Sandler and the whole casting department for being conscientious of making that decision when filming this movie. So going into the film, I'm going to start out with like a few notes that kind of like frames what the movie is about, and then we're going to go over the themes and just talk about all of the feels, right? So we're opening it up. I didn't know that half of this movie was a musical. I can't stand when I don't know ahead of time that it's a musical. I don't like that, especially animated musicals. I don't know what it is between me and animated musicals. Like, unless you tell me out the gate, the new musicals don't really slap like that. Like, the last musical to get me, like at least modern day, is Coco, but specifically Encanto, right? I was singing that damn Bruno. I think I was just singing Bruno like a few days ago. It's just not the same. It doesn't hit like that anymore. It doesn't have deep messages and stuff like that anymore. So I try to shy away from it. But you know what? It's a kid's story, and through their song in the opening, you kind of get introduced to the kids' personalities, and they're going into fifth grade. You know, the friends that they had when they were in kindergarten to like fourth grade, they're not friends anymore, and they're stressed about this being their last year in elementary school, and they're going on to middle school. And you know, it's the first level of an identity crisis when you're going from like one type of schooling to the next. So going from fifth grade to sixth grade is such a jump, and you're thinking about your identity because you're like, I don't want to be treated like a kid. And then going from eighth grade to ninth grade, you're having the same thing. From 12th grade to college, you're having the same thing. So it's like that's what they're dealing with. And through song is how you get introduced to what they have going on. In their classroom, we have a lizard and a turtle, Leo and Squirtle. They have been there for the entirety of their lives, so over 70 years. Already said in the log line that Leo is 74. Okay. Their teacher, Mrs. Salinas, she's so nice, she's so kind, and everything like that. But your girl is pregnant. Your girl is pregnant. Okay. And she's getting ready to leave. And the kids are like, cool, we're getting a substitute teacher. We finna run her ragged. But y'all, Miss Malkin comes up in there and she's not playing no games. Okay, so Miss Malkin, like, she's not here with the frou frou. She's not here with the hearts. She's not here with the gold stars. You finna come to class and you're not getting rewarded for the things that you are supposed to do. We work on a demerit system. You mess up, you get a demerit. You do what you're supposed to do, then it is what it is. Like, that's all we're doing. So she shoos Mrs. Salinas out and she's coming in with a whole new regime, and the kids are just like, oh my God. I thought we were going to be able to trample over her, and clearly we're going to be doing more work. But one of the things that she bestows upon them is the responsibility of taking a pet home every Friday. Now, the kids are terrified, and Squirtle is terrified too because he's like, oh my God, we don't ever come back alive from these kids' houses. But Leo was getting ready to turn 75, and he heard through the grapevine that lizards don't live past 75. Now, mind you, he's lived in this school and in this little aquarium since he was born. So this is just some tea, right? Some gossip. So he's like, bet, I'm going to go to one of these little kids' house, and then I'm getting out of here. So Summer ends up being the first student that volunteers to take him home. So he's like, okay, cool. Summer talks so much and so fast. She doesn't breathe. She doesn't stop to listen to any responses. She's just saying every intrusive thought that is in her mind. And so she's talking like this whole time. And Leo finally is like, oh my God, okay. And she's like, wait, who said that? And he stops. And so he points to the wall. And she was like, the wall can't talk. And then he points to a trophy. And she's like, well, trophies don't say that. And he's like, Okay, listen, girl, you talk way too much and it is killing me. Like the first time he exposes the fact that he can talk to a student is because she was talking him to death, right? And so they have their interaction and she's going on and he was like, I'm going to need you to stop. I'm going to need you to pause. Have you ever asked others what they think or paused in conversation to give people the opportunity to like talk to you? And so now she's kind of like stopping and she's thinking and she's able to have a conversation, even though she is self aware enough to know that she talks too much. And so Leo was just like, okay, cool, let's work on that. So he survives his first weekend. He comes back and Squirtle was like, what are you even doing here? And he was like, listen, it was a failed escape. My sis almost put me in the grave from all her yapping, but it's cool. Every Friday, I'm going to get a new opportunity, like it is what it is. And over the Fridays, the people were only picking the lizard. I said the people, but the kids were only picking the lizard. But every time he exposed himself to a kid, he kept telling them, like, I only talk to you, like, you're special. But what ends up happening is all of the things that they are unable to talk about with their friends or that they're unable to talk about with their parents or other family members, they're able to talk about it with Leo. In turn, Leo is giving them all of the tools to get through their insecurities, to get through their fears, to help them understand their parents and understand the other students in the class. Because, like I already said, they are thinking about change. And some of the students have dealt with the loss of family members. Some of the students have dealt with their friends transferring to other schools. One of the kids was held back twice. And so, one of his fears is, what if I'm not smart enough? What if I'm not good enough? And the things that their parents should be paying attention to in them, Leo is getting all of that information from them and helping them navigate through all of these complex feelings that kids have whenever they're going through big transitions. But on the opposite end of that, where Leo was looking for an escape and looking to use them as his chance to leave, he ends up realizing that his purpose in life is to help these kids discover themselves. You've been in this school your entire life and never have you had an experience where the kids ever looked at you outside of just being a reptile. And now, because of some accident with Summer talking way too much, you're able to also share with them. And so, what starts off as a very selfish journey for Leo the lizard, it turns into something that's bigger and above himself. And in this, he's pushing the children to be better versions of themselves, even though Miss Malkin, she's not letting up on none of like the boot camp style that she's doing. But she also kind of notices, like, okay, there's a change. And even the principal is like, girl, I don't know what you're doing, but the kids are getting good grades, they're focused, they are coming to school in a better mood. And she's just kind of like, I don't think that's me, but okay. And then one day, y'all, all of the kids end up finding out that he was talking to each of them. Why did they find out? Because Squirtle was mad and jealous that he was the only one getting taken home, and they would all like drop off their phones in the tank so that they could call and talk to Leo every night about their day or about whatever was going on at home and anything like that. And Squirtle was mad, so he kind of sent out like a group chat and called all the kids there. So Miss Malkin was walking in and the kids were talking and they're just like, how could you do this? And so he's talking back and so she hears them. So she walks out of the room like, okay, I don't want them to know that they like that I heard. And so the kids are a little bit disappointed. And something that started off so good now comes to like the kids' second biggest heartbreak, right? Because all of them are dealing with something. You have a kid whose parents don't invest in her intellect, so they don't have any idea about how smart she is. You have another kid who speaks so much, but her parents shows a disinterest. You have a kid whose parents are so rich they never stop and ask her, does she even like the things that they do? They just throw things her way and then call her a brat because of it. When after talking to Leo and she's putting down her guard and everything like that, she don't even like the opulence that her parents do for her, like at all. And so they feel a little bit of betrayal. Once they leave, Miss Malkin comes in and she's like, Leo, you're coming with me. So there's that, right? You're gonna have to watch Acts 3 and Acts 4, Leo on Netflix. Y'all, this movie is so good. The themes of it all just being wrapped in some of the songs. There's this song that Leo sings. This girl was getting ready to cry, and he was like, I don't like crying, like, please don't do that. And so she was like, well, can you sing me something to sleep? So he sings a song about how annoying it is for people to cry. And I'm just like, bro, what? So like the themes of it all, we're looking at mortality, we're looking at not only the children, but even the adults and even the animals being misunderstood. We're looking at involuntary entrapment of animals and the ways that humans don't ever think about how they negatively impact other creatures of the universe surrounding us. And so you have a story of not only the animals feeling trapped, but through the animals, you're finding that the humans of all ages also feel trapped too. And I think it's a very good movie to watch. Definitely 10 out of 10 for a kid, between third grade and eighth grade for sure, because those are pivotal moments where these big transitions are happening. We're talking about transition in friend groups. We're talking about transitions with puberty, growing breasts, getting your period, getting your first pubic hairs, your first little mustache, your first little beard, your voice dropping, and that's for boys and girls. Sports, what's cool, what are the cartoons that you watch as a kid, but everybody around you is like, oh, that's for babies, and things like that. So if you have a kid that you feel like you can't communicate with or you're having struggles with at home, I would just sit down and play this movie and watch this movie with that kid. Again, between third grade, eighth grade, you can even go through sophomore in high school because things are rough when you are an underclassman. Um, but most people go into ninth grade like with their eighth grade crew. But yeah, if you're having a hard time like communicating, I think it's a very good film for parents to look through the eyes of Leo the Lizard to find a way to penetrate to their kids, a way to evolve with their children. Because some of the parents were just keeping their kids locked into like this little kid that they've seen, and they're not growing with their child. They're actually resisting the growth of their child. You have people ignoring their children. I won't necessarily say neglect, because none of the kids in the cartoon were not cared for, but they were ignored and they weren't heard. And it was like if they weren't talking about something that the adult was interested in, then they were getting paid dust. When the reality is the kids didn't ask to be here. So you need to try to figure out a way as the parent to get an interest or find something in your child's life that you can connect to and that you can hold on to. And sometimes you just gonna have a kid that you be like, I don't even know like how you're even mine. The only thing that we share is DNA, and you're gonna have to fake it or put yourself in a space to learn from that kid. And so through Leo, you get this world where the children become the teachers of life. The children become the teachers of humanity and kindness. And it's without prejudice, it's without bias, it's without hate, and they're able to just live a more fulfilling life. Now, of course, like I already said, Acts 3 and 4, we gotta have a little bit of some things that's, shaking the table, but we still see ways in which Leo makes such a huge impact. I found myself tearing up throughout the film and laughing throughout the entirety of the film. And like I said, I don't know that I know that Adam Sandler has done animation, but I'm super happy that I came across this film. Highly got the hiccups. Highly recommended. um this is definitely like a comfort movie for me. So like whenever I'm like near my moon cycle, or it's like I want to like feel something deep and laugh, like it's up there with Inside Out and the Emoji Movie and Coco is one of them ones though, because this is a 70-year cold case file. Like I gotta think about how much I want to feel when I watch Coco. But there's just certain movies that you want to watch when you want to cry or when you want to feel something deep. And this is definitely gonna be added to my list. So with that being said, as always, like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell, leave comments in the comments box below. If you got people that only want to listen, share that Spotify link as well as the Apple Podcast link. And you can always find me on Instagram at So There's That Podcast, where I cover so many other shows and entertainment news in the film and television industry. And you can also find me on TikTok and Twitter at Kivanshi. But speaking of Instagram, I have a lot of stuff coming up. There was a lot of information that was just dropped over the weekend. We have the Emmy for Your Consideration campaigns going for so many different shows as they're going out here and they're campaigning for themselves, for the cast, the shows, the actors. Well, yeah, the actors, the directors, the producers. So all of that is coming up. I'm a little bit behind, but I will be posting some news and some snippets from different people across different shows and things that you can expect, as well as some upcoming shows coming out that I may not actually cover on the podcast, but we'll be doing short form reviews and recaps on Instagram as well as TikTok, and occasionally in a YouTube short. So make sure you are subscribed or following me on all of the platforms. Or if you got people who only are on certain platforms, whatever platform they like, send them at Kivanshi or at So There's That Podcast. I promise you, I have something for everybody. And with that, I will catch y'all in the next episode.